So the concept of reparations, where King Charles is concerned, I'm talking about the role of the empire in slavery. Should King Charles give the gift of reparations? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, says Joe. Yes or no, Chris?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes or no, Anu?
I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to say reparations is not
Oh,
a
we're
gift.
gonna say yes. Yes or no, Larry?
It's hard when other people have gone yes, isn't it? I'm going to go no.
I love it. I'm like, be brave, Larry. Let the no roll off your tongue, Larry. Yes or no, Alicia?
Absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So why yes, Joe?
Because, following on from our last question, some people do have the gift of money. And, there was a real question, I think, for so many people in the UK about what the monarchy represents when we had the opportunity to have a new monarch. If you weren't listening, if you weren't hearing some of that dissent, you're not representing. This is a good time. This would be a perfect opportunity if you want the monarchy to be meaningful, which is very difficult for many people. Listen. That, apologies and reparations, I think it would be the best thing they could do for the monarchy. And they need a PR nudge. But also, it's the right thing to do.
Okay, Chris?
I'm going to say yes, because first of all, reparations are owed, first of all. And, when you look at what happened with the coronation and the kind of what was going on in the country, I think that was a good time where Charles... Imagine if Charles had said, you know what, we're not going to have the coronation. I'm just going to donate this money to all the different families, etc. And I think this country does owe. And I also think, it reminds me of something Laura Neal said, until you do right, all you do will go wrong. Sorry, my throat is a bit sore. And I think if the monarchy does want to be meaningful, I think the gift of reparations, even though it's not a gift, would be quite timely. I want to say they can never pay what they owe.
Yeah.
The numbers are crazy. You would bankrupt this country. You could potentially bankrupt the world. However, in terms of the process of healing, I'm tired of apologies and then you're keeping the money here.
Yeah.
Stop telling me sorry. What can you do to amend and offer restitution? You can't pay what you owe. But imagine if Charles said, you know what? All the descendants of enslaved people here in this country, you don't have to pay tax for 10 years. I'll take it. That's life-changing. I will take it. However, should they pay? Yes, but I don't think they ever will, because they can't pay it.
Okay. And you said yes, and it's reparations is not a gift.
Reparations is not a gift. If you steal something from someone, giving it back, it's not reparations. The empire wealth, especially of the British monarchy, can we agree that 50% is at least you can trace it back to the countries in Africa and the Indian subcontinent they stole it from? And I think 50% is quite moderate. So one, and I agree with Chris, all that money can't bring back the millions who were starved so that Winston Churchill could fight a war. You're never going to bring those lives back. Those centuries of abuse, you're never going to wash it away with money. Plus, if he is smart, which he thinks he is, King Charles, he thinks, I'm not sure most of us would agree with him, then he would want to keep monarchy alive for his son and his grandson. And what better way than to say, I wouldn't give taxes off for people today. I'm sorry, Chris, I know that sounds tempting. But wouldn't he go back to the African continent and say, these are the 10 foundations I will fund for all the children under 5 to survive. As a human, if you had so much money, wouldn't you do that, Alicia? I would do that. Any decent human would do that. And he's just giving away what he stole from these people.
I think what they need to do is look at the root result of what is caused and fix those problems. True. So there's a lot of systemic issues. Fix those problems. There's a lot of there's over-policing. It affects social. It affects healthcare. For example, slavery from my perspective and from my research, slavery is beyond just the act of slavery and us putting behind there. It goes back to the mentality behind slavery. You know, there was pseudoscience that was introduced in the 18th century that basically introduced the idea that black brains are smaller than white brains, right?
Eugenics.
Which then justified slavery at the time. So I think there's still that mentality that plays a massive role in society in regards to how we're treated in healthcare, in regards to opportunities we're given in the workplace, in regards to our position in politics, in regards to systemic policies, where we live, how we live. So I think some of the problems that they need to address is giving us potentially houses. Because back in the day, there was what was it called? There was almost like a red line in certain areas or postcodes. They weren't allowed to receive mortgages or loans or anything. And that again, that's a result of slavery. Believe it or not, these are different things.
I went no.
Yes.
For one
Why
simple
not?
reason, which is I hate tokenism of any sort. And my concern would be that somebody, whether it's the king or anybody, goes, look at me, look what I'm doing that's so different to what my predecessors and ancestors have done, and it's tokenism that doesn't shift the dial. So when you say reparations, anything that's done in isolation that's tokenistic doesn't achieve very much. It might be quite nice for someone to get a little bit of money, and it would be a little bit of money. So you divide what it is by the millions of people affected by colonialism. It's tokenism. What I would much rather there would be, it's never going to happen, but imagine the United Nations actually did something of value and had teeth and had financial impact on the world and did something to try and put right some of the inequalities of the last 400 years of wars and colonialism, and we're not the only ones who had colonies, by the way. So you'd have to look at other nations that were all equally colonial. The French, the Spanish, then you go even further back, you look at the raids across the Silk Road, you've got, in isolation, an act, a king's speech is tokenism.